Welcome to Secure Management Faculties, where your mind is key before you unlock what is seen. Secure your Dreyfus channel introductory below. If you have to sell your gun, head to guns.com through this link below. Sell your gun, send it off, make the extra currency. I will periodically also, coming up, have more offerings and opportunities, but that's for another conversation. Today, we'll be acknowledging what is known as verbal judo and its non toxicity format. And I will be supporting this verbal judo explanation in context with a story that I've been through in my past workings. And once we get done with the introductory of explaining this, then we'll hop right into the story. So, first of all, let's have an understanding of verbal judo, at least at its basis. Verbal judo, without any implements of direct compassion, if you will, it's a tactic that is for verbal response, neutralization, and de escalation, especially in the security and law enforcement field. When you are engaging in chaotic situations and you're trying to derive it back to original state of peace, or simply a de-escalated state that is not escalating. Verbal judo is a negotiation, and it's a negotiation with you and whatever it is that you're doing. In particular, we're going to focus on with human being versus human being, and you're interacting with each other in the circumstance of negotiating information wanted to be received or not wanted to be received. But it's all there in preference and also randomly, if you will, depending on how it sparks, right? Life is life. With that said, negotiation can be concentrated to synonym-based words like debate, consultation, and agreement. We're going to be focusing on the principal words, such as the end result, like the goal, the purpose, and the principle. We're going to also be focusing on the focus effect to make this as naturally as possible to sort of stay away from the tactical, how can I say, scientific devoid of the compassion. We're going to be nice today. But with that said, let's jump into the story and let's also jump into the reasoning right after that. So, security protection. At this time, I'm working for Guardian Security. I had a subject that was high rate, and his focus was on his partner. Now, at this time, I was stimulated that this event was going on. I had to respond to it. Now, it was more of a perspirating event that climbed verbally and reached me as the signal of stimulation from the person that told me reached me as well. Also giving me direct confirmation that, hey, this is going on because I was on the other side of the facility. Person comes get me, I go over to that side of the facility. And so once I get to the specific section, we have a mass of people that are together. But everybody has their own specific section, so they all have their own personal space in this lobby-based area. With that said, the person was getting high rate with their partner, and I was tuned into the frustrations, but I did not necessarily acknowledge it because, quite frankly, the person was already in the wrong, and we already are past the bound of determining whether, let's say, casually, you suggestively want to de-escalate the situation. So after I acknowledged the male, which was who was being the aggressor at this point, which I add he was frustrated. But the fact of the matter is, I tuned to him first because he was the main causing source of the clutter of confusion that was becoming high rate. Right after that, he begins to spill into me, saying that you're not going to do anything to me. It begins to escalate. Now, I responded, said, you're going to have to leave initially because if you continue the way you are, you're not going to be able to stay here, and I'm going to have to remove you from the premises. Now, with that said, escalation even took a higher note. And I have surrounding people in the application that didn't necessarily move. They were all still there. And there were even some children that were in the area. And so the subject got defensive to the point of where he was spouting out phrases such, "I want you to touch me. Let's see what happened. Let's take this to the next level." Now, take in mind, I'm armed. He doesn't know it. But I have a gap between my use of force regiment of tools. I have my bare fist and abilities as well with a firearm. There's no in between. There's no mace. We're not talking taser. We're not talking about anything that can support me in between that gives me an intermediate effect. So within that conclusive reasoning of understanding the people around me, this not being the environment to do this in, and the exchange of deadly force being almost absolute if the conditions were to raise, it's time to be smarter. So now the verbal judo consistently starts with the negotiation. But this is going to be the secret tidbit of the focus effect. At the end of the day, the gentleman left the building, apologized to me, and apologized to the whole staff, took his partner, and left. Why did that happen? I seen that the gentleman had a problem with his significant other, and so I immediately tagged that situation about the significant other coming up short and what was his specific problem that he had in context to what his significant other was not receiving. And I was also showing the application that I was receiving it. You see, the application of verbal judo is about hitting the right spot, if you will. A right spot of de-escalation and a right spot of saying something and doing something by action to the point of where it becomes true for the person to become aware of their objective side if they choose to fall in that direction. But the concept was done and the effects brought the result. Now, what is the focus effect of this situation that I was talking about that makes it non-tactical, that makes it non-debilitating or toxic? Well, here's the thing. What makes it non-debilitating and non-toxic was because I actually took an interest in his problem. Did I want to take interest in his problem? No. I wanted to close the facility. I wanted to run my regular regiment. I wanted to run my regular post. And I wanted to get everybody along and everybody have their purpose. I did not want to absorb his problems. Positive and negative, it doesn't matter. But the fact of the matter is, this person was an indirect calling of attention. An indirect calling of attention that they were summoning directly, intentionally, in this social situation that particularly I had to be there. And so even though I had the right to say what I had to say, I had the right to actually go to the next level, did I do it? No. And I didn't feed into the tactical portion of the verbal judo negotiation effect because it becomes a deadening practice that will become self-compromising to your empathy. The empathy of understanding what that person was going through, and even me reflecting that I remember I had a partnership that with that significant other did not attach to information that I was saying. It did not understand the rules of the placement of a specific position at that point in time, referencing to connection to him of a man. And so I literally took honest interest in that subject or in that person. And with that said, with that honest interest out of that situation, me and that person was in a short-term negotiation and reflection and conclusion. And he came to his senses to his more objective side because of the fact that he was acknowledged. Now, of course, on the forefront, usually men, they have the tendency to have pride. So, of course, he probably was not aware of this. And the conversation that we had was real. It was legitimate. What we had going on during that time was actually a man-to-man connection about something that was totally irrelevant to what the job duties entail and why I was there. But doing so by investing the energy, which was kind of leechy, if you will, it was simply a taking time to be compassionate. Even though he was already in the wrong, even though I was there for another purpose, the investment was just simply to listen. And with that listening effect and actual interest, it didn't become a toxic tactic. It became a healing and helpful solution. Okay, that will be it for verbal judo and the negotiation. Understand that when you're responding out into the world defensively, especially when you're working security and law enforcement protection, to my fellow professionals or emergency response officials that are listening, the people who are part of the same craft, there are people out there that will scheme. You already know this. They will lie and they will prey. And not pray as in pray, but prey on the ability to be able to be or to empathize with their story. But the context of empathizing begins to get stronger and much more potent in its capacity of use when you put yourself in a condition to empathize realistically rather than a tactical one or a tactical one. A tactical one is predominantly the most important, but be open to the most realism effect of it as possible, but also mix in objectivity to be able to sense out the fraudulent behavior and things like that. We know what that looks like. We know what type of presence and what type of goal orientation we have when we enter into the effect of solving problems or issues. Because a lot of things with this craft comes with not only just enforcing regulations, policies, being a deterrent, oftentimes you're a social worker. Oftentimes it's like even when you're with people, you're actually doing correctional work. But those are small moments that you can suggestively give up and then invest some energy into. And then after that, the application of how life spans out when you're doing your work, it won't fall into those spots too much. So, be verbal judoed, exercise some compassion, know the objective of what the tactic is, and try to attach some humanity to it. But don't be aloof to the fact that you let your guard down and be naive. All right, secure management faculties where your mind's a key, where your mind is key before you unlock what is seen. Secure Agent Dreyfus, as usual, appreciate everything. If you didn't catch it, I know you did at the beginning. If you have an extra firearm, you're going to head to guns.com, follow the link below, send that firearm out, get your extra currency for yourself, and get all set and ready to go. I appreciate the content viewership or whatever or not, and the participation indirectly that I get in my personal messages, and also some pats on the back, right, from some specific people I've seen. Thank you for those as well. Again, see you on the next upload. And again, if you need that extra firearm or some extra currency, correction, send that firearm, follow the link. More updates are coming. Again, slicing it off. Appreciate it.